Hello everyone. Now, with this whole advertiser thing going on, a lot of videos are being demonetized by major publishers, namely Rob Dyke. Now, if you're not familiar with Rob Dyke's videos, the best way to describe it would be very similar to Investigation Discovery, where it talks about things that channel would discuss. And it's not for the case of being morbid or showing grotesque nastiness and stuff like that. It's an actual educational channel. It's actually one of my favorite channels. A lot of his videos are being demonetized to the point where he has gone to Patreon to try to support the channel to keep it going. And it started a hashtag movement, if you will, of Keep YouTube Creepy. Now, a lot of creepy YouTube channels, or horror as I call them, are being demonetized because they're not seen as advertiser friendly. Now, that gives me that kind of perplexes me a little bit, because if the Discovery Network, which has multiple channels, decides to dedicate a channel to nothing but similar content that Rob Dyke does show and does discuss in an educated manner, if they're able to devote an entire channel to it, that is advertised, by the way. How is it not? How is someone doing it on YouTube not advertiser friendly? That confuses me. But that leads me to a point, because it's one thing to say keep YouTube creepy. It's another thing to put hashtags in front of it and send the message out all you want. That doesn't necessarily get the job done. But there is something that can be done. Get that out of the camera shot. But anyway, this is how to fix all of YouTube advertising problems. Every single one of them. And to keep that problem from ever coming back, no matter what. Very simple, actually. YouTube's actually done it to some extent when it comes to different sections of YouTube, such as YouTube Gaming, YouTube Music. What they need to do, what I think needs to be done in order to prevent this from happening ever again, and to keep the advertisers happy, keep the content creators happy, and keep YouTube happy, or Google happy. Those three entities are kind of coming at a head right now, where YouTube wants the advertisers to be happy, advertisers want to advertise their stuff to the to their intended target. Now look at it a marketing perspective on it. Okay, say I'm a marketing executive, and it's my responsibility to make sure that let's just say I have 3 clients. One for a car company that just released a new type of minivan. Another one that just released a horror movie and wants to trailer out as an advertisement. And the third, a new video game. Now, they've given me a certain budget that I gotta work with in order to advertise it on new media, aka YouTube. So how am I gonna get these? How am I gonna satisfy all 3 clients? I could just do what they're doing now and just bid on the most popular videos. That's one way to do it, but that also can miss your intended target. And that's what advertisers are a little concerned with. But this is how to fix it. YouTube needs to have genres. They want to consider themselves Netflix, and same thing as like cable providers and stuff like that. They want to go up in that competition and set it up as different genres. Have one for gaming, one for music, one for news and politics. In other words, it's the same thing that when you post your video, it tells you what's the topic of it. Turn those topics into different genres. different sections of YouTube, and have a horror section. Because believe it or not, the realm of horror has been around since video cameras have been around, since entertainment has been available. It's not going away. And if I was advertising and say I want to get these, let's say those 3 things, I want to get them advertised, I would go to YouTube Horror to promote and that's where I would put in my bids in the horror genre, in YouTube's horror genre for the movie. The video game would of course be released in YouTube Gaming. And the family-friendly minivan in another YouTube genre called Family Friendly, where that shows family shows and children's television. That way the marketing executives can get the ads out to their target audience. Because if you think about it, why would you show a horror movie trailer on a family-friendly kid show? That may not be the intended target. Why would you show a minivan commercial on a horror genre? That may also miss your intended target. If YouTube was to break up into different genres, into different subsections, which they've already kind of done, they just haven't done it all the way. They're doing kind of a half effort, well, not even half effort, more like 1/10 of an effort. But if they were to do that, then every single video, it would be up to the content creators to put their video in the right genre. That's not that hard to do. Just click box A, or click box B, or click box C. So that's not just an idea, that's something that I think, in my opinion, needs to be done. Because this would prevent any other advertising snafus. This would prevent all that problem. This would keep YouTube creepy. This would definitely be a plus for YouTube, and it makes everyone happy. And of course Google might be saying, well, that's a lot of work. You don't know how many videos go in through YouTube on a daily basis. Well, simple. You've already done something. You've already done some of it with YouTube Music, as well as YouTube Gaming. You've already broken up some of the units, which YouTube Music's probably the biggest chunk. So if you can do it with 2, you can do it with 2 more. And yeah, it may take a while in order to get it done, but it's something that I feel like YouTube should do in order to progress, in order to compete with Netflix and the other shows that other forms of entertainment that they want to compete with. And then I think they really need to just kind of hire some people, not bots, but people that can help better categorize these items. And if something is falsely categorized, you can send an email out to the content creator telling them, hey, you didn't put it in the right genre, we can't monetize it, it's not available for advertising until you place it in the correct genre. Then that would be okay. I can live with that. Like, yeah, it may be one more click's worth of work, but it's still, it shows some responsibility. YouTube's not about just posting up random videos and just saying, hey, give me money. It doesn't work like that anymore. Now you have to work for it. Now you have to earn it. And let's talk about the other thing too while we're at it. The 10,000 minimum lifetime views in order to be considered for monetization at all. This is a good thing, believe it or not. As of the recording of this video, I have not reached my 10,000 minimum views, but I understand why it exists. Throughout the millions of channels on YouTube, you will find a lot of them just take stuff like, well, one of the biggest examples is, say, Dragon Ball Super, as well as Family Guy, where they just take certain clips to that show, put it on their channel, and call it their work and expect to be paid for it. That shouldn't happen. You're making money on someone else's work. That's not fair. I'm not saying that like if you abridge it, then you shouldn't. If you're gonna abridge something, make sure you have permission from the copyright owners, which Team Four Star has. I believe they have it, and not to mention it's a parody. Which, if you're gonna punish people for making parodies, then Weird Al may have something to say about that. He built a career off making parodies. And as long as you have the copyright owner's permission, then it shouldn't be too much of an issue, which I do believe Team 4-Star has that permission. So that's not really an issue. Not to mention it's also non-profit. If it doesn't hurt your bottom dollar, if it doesn't take money away from you, then you really can't complain because they're not hurting your sales. As a matter of fact, to be honest, I think Dragon Ball Z Abridged boosted a lot of the sales for Dragon Ball Z Blu-rays that came out, the Dragon Ball Super, and of course the 2 movies that came as well. I believe Dragon Ball Z Abridged kind of boosted those sales a little bit. And the reason why I think that is because when something loses its nostalgia, if you will, because the series was done years ago. Dragon Ball Z as a series, when it finished, a lot of people may either forget it or may not want to remember it. They might just say, oh, well, no big deal. I'm not going to buy the Blu-rays for it. I have the DVDs. No. I'm done. And Abridged either kept that fire flaming or even reignited that flame for people that love that show. So in my opinion, it's perfectly valid. But back to my original discussion. YouTube needs this. It needs to be in different genres. It needs to have different categories. And you should make it up to the content creator to decide what categories their particular video falls under. Upon doing this, it gives the advertisers more power to where they want their particular commercials to air on, thus hitting their target audience. Thus, they should be willing to pay a little bit more money for it because they know it's going to hit the audience they want. That means it might mean less commercials in volume, but each commercial will cost a little bit more money. It's like replacing 100 pennies for a $1 bill. Sounds fine to me. I don't see anything wrong with that. And if you can't really categorize your YouTube videos, if you don't know what category your particular video falls under, that's on you. That's on the content creators. If you can't figure out what you're doing, then figure it out. It's not that hard. Now let's say something just jumps out of this window and bites my head off or something, then that would go under horror, wouldn't it? Don't worry, that's not going to happen. That's not my particular genre. It's not something I'm all that good at when it comes to those kind of effects. Not to mention that window's not going to open. But anyway. No. It's not going to do that. Anyway. Once YouTube does this, there will never be another advertising problem unless it falls on the advertisers themselves for making a simple mistake. And if it's the advertiser's fault, that's on them. They can't blame YouTube for that. They can't blame Google for that. They made the mistake. And honestly, if they have more power, then there's probably going to be less mistakes made at all. And once YouTube does this, then, or if they were to do this, again, there would just be I can't see any possible problems. Now, a lot of people have been saying, well, what if YouTube had a competition, they wouldn't do this. Well, there does exist some competition for YouTube. There does exist other sites that are kind of like YouTube, except there is except they have their own problems. Let's take Daily Motion, for example. They have a 2 gigabyte upload limit for each video. Now, believe it or not, that's not a lot of content. Unless you're going to film everything in 360p or less, then you might be able to get a full 15-minute show out. Maybe. And there's also a 2 upload and 24-hour limit. Not to mention the audience is a lot less. Hang on. Oh, I got an email from YouTube. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see here. Okay, we're working to ensure that YouTube remains a great place for you to earn money from ad revenue. To make sure you understand the best practices for ad-friendly content, check out our latest updates to our ad-friendly guidelines. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that right now. Please excuse me. In March, we provided an update to changes we're making to address advertiser concerns and where their advertisements are placed. Again, if you went into different categories, this wouldn't be an issue. Since then, we've held thousands of productive conversations with advertisers and implemented additional controls to restore advertiser confidence. As a result, many advertisers have resumed their media campaigns on YouTube, leading creator revenue to return to a better and more stable state. We know that revenue fluctuations have been unsettling, and we want to reassure you that we're working closely with our advertising partners to make sure that YouTube continues to be a great place for creators to earn money. We recognize there is still more work to do. We know we have to improve our communications to you, our creators. We also need to meet our commitment to our advertisers by ensuring their ads only appear against the content they think is suitable for their brand. Here's an update on some of the things that we're doing to provide greater transparency. One thing you've been clear about is your desire for more detail and clarity around our guidelines. In response to this feedback, we've updated our overall guidelines to provide more detail than before. While it's not possible for us to cover every video scenario, we hope this additional information will provide you with more insight into the types of content brands have told us that they don't want to advertise against, and help you make more informed content decisions. We know our systems aren't perfect. We're also working on further to improve your ability to appeal impacted videos. Okay, here are some new guidelines. They are taking a tougher stance on hateful content, which they describe as content that promotes discrimination, disparages, and humiliates an individual or group of people on the basis of the individual group's race, ethnicity, ethnic origins, stuff that shouldn't be monetized in the first place. So yeah, okay, that gets, no hateful content, perfectly fine. Inappropriate use of family entertainment characters. Content that depicts family entertainment characters engaged in inappropriate behavior, even if done in comedic and satirical purposes. Well, okay, hang on. Family entertainment characters, so what, like cartoon characters or something like that? Okay, so no. Okay, huh. Okay, so I guess you can't get an Elmo and have the Elmo doing inappropriate things. That's what I'm picking up off of it. I wouldn't do that anyway, so That really doesn't affect me. If anyone's thinking about doing that anyway, you might need to get some help. I mean, the guy that played Elmo for so many years was wrongfully attacked with a false accusation that was proven false. So, lay off the Sesame Street characters. In my opinion, Sesame Street was one of the best shows growing up, and the turn that they've taken lately has been actually pretty good. So, more props to Sesame Street. Another one is demeaning content. Content that is gratuitously inflammatory or demeaning, that uses disrespectful language, that shames or insults an individual or group. In other words, don't talk smack. Don't spread. Don't do that. Don't spread the disease, if you will. Again, I'm okay with these guidelines. This is going to be a good thing. Okay, overall, I had to edit something out, but overall, the new guidelines are acceptable in my opinion. And if YouTube was to have different categories, if they were to put it into different categories, that would make the advertisers happy, that would make YouTube happy, that would make the content creators happy. This needs to be done. I'll catch you guys next time. I'll see you later. Bye bye.